it's always great that we can highlight our local authors, and especially, what our author tonight has shown us. This is one of the best books that's gotten a lot of talk in the last year. I really have been impressed with what I've read so far. I haven't finished it, I'm sorry, but I've made it most of the way through. But I just want to say, I want to thank Lily Lee, who's our author tonight. What she's really done is put a highlight on something that was to a certain degree forgotten in our community. And I really appreciate that. What happened, not just in San Jose, and that's what her story mainly focuses on, but around California, around the US, of the contribution of the Chinese immigrants and them being pushed out of their homes is just a tragedy, And ultimately, from our standpoint, it's important that we highlight this so that we don't ultimately forget. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's like the contributions of immigrants to our cities, to our country, is the most important thing that we have. Sunnyvale is a very diverse community. More than 50% of our residents that were born outside of the United States. And they bring with them their immigrant in their traditions, their histories, their cultures. And Sunnyvale is a better city because of that. California is better, the United States is better. And so, what happened in the 1850s in San Jose was really, unimaginable at this point in our lives. But what Lily's done is basically brought that time to life and really created a story that, anyone can read. It's a real page turner. And, I thank her for what she's done here and what ultimately, in my mind, really makes a difference as far as highlighting the Chinese culture and a Chinese past that we've been much forgotten in the Bay Area. So with that, I'll pass it on to the real person you want to hear from tonight, Lily Lee. And thank you for being part of our community.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everyone in the Zoom. I know there are most people are in the Zoom that some people switch from the Zoom, from the in-person to Zoom because the weather. I don't know why. Every time I have book signing event, there's a big storm. So a lot of people blame on the name of the book. They say we got to put out the fire. So my name is Lily, and I'm a local author, and I love my city. I moved from New York 1990 to Sunnyvale. Ever since I live in Sunnyvale, I travel around the world. I think this is the best place to live. So I intend to stay here forever. I retire, I'm going to be here. So today I'm going to share my story about the journey of writing this book. The name of the book is Fire Scar, the Untold Story of the 1887 burning of San Jose's Chinatown. So the clicker is not working. Okay. So. It's working? Yeah, it's working. Okay, all right, thank you, Richard. So this is right before the pandemic. I was having a lunch with a friend, and then I was waiting in the corner of a Fairmont Hotel, and I saw this sign. And then what struck me was the Chinese character in big font. I said, why are these Chinese characters sitting out here? So I walked closer, and I was reading. It says, 圣荷西华父辈坟纪念. And then I started reading the words in the memory of the burning of San Jose Chinatown, May 4th, 1887. And it says on the side on May 4th, 1887, a mysterious fire deliberately set, I read that few times, deliberately set, destroyed San Jose Chinatown. This was the largest Chinatown south of San Francisco, a community of bachelors and of families. These early Chinese pioneers were instrumental in developing the economy of Santa Clara County and dedicating May 4th 1987, that's exactly 100 years later. So it was about 34 years ago. I say, I've been moving here quite a long time. And I've been to Fairmont Hotel a few times. How come I never noticed this? So I went home, I started texting, email friends, and I also use multimedia and Facebook, WeChat. I asked a lot of people, does anybody seen this plaque? And am I the only person? And I got about over 100 people reply to me. None of them seen this. So it was quite surprised. And then pandemic came. So pandemic came, all of a sudden, I got a lot of time by myself at home. So I keep thinking about this fire. And one day I just decided to go back to take more pictures. So this picture was taken exactly at the pandemic lockdown. So there was nobody on the street, hardly any cars. So I got very nice and clear pictures. So, and since I have ample time, I start to do my research. And one of the person from Facebook told me that you should read Jim Fraser's book. It's called Driven Out. On page 237, it's talking about this fire. So I ordered this book from Amazon. I didn't know what the driven out means. And then when I received the book, it says the forgotten war against Chinese Americans. I turned the first page, it says 排华. My tear just came out. That basically just driven out, kick out all the Chinese out. So I start concentrating reading this book. And a lot of time I was in tears because their life is so harsh. And I continue to do more research about more books and the Chinese in San Jose, in Santa Clara Valley, and also Chinatown, San Jose, USA. So I read through all these books, and I also keep asking people, and people knowing that I was doing research, so they made some direction. They asked me to look for Wu Shengong, Temple of Five Gods. Of course, everything was closed. And that's a Chinese museum. It's a historical museum. And the historical part was closed. Everything was closed. So I have no clue what's inside. And but there's a website. I found a Chinese Historical Cultural Project. And the website is chcp.org. In that website, I found a lot of information. I found that 34 years ago, right at the time, they built the Fairmont Hotel. Stanford sent a team of archaeology team to dig out the artifacts. And then they did dig out artifacts. And the name of the project is called, There Was a Chinatown Here. So where are the artifacts? I don't know. Maybe it's in the museum, maybe it's in Stanford. I have no way to find out. And also in the website, I found this documentary movie made by the Oscar-winning documentary filmmaker Jessica Yu. And then it was a 15 minutes film. I was able to get a copy of it. So I watched the film quite a few times. And then the second page of Jim Fraser's book, Driven Out. There's a map of California. There used to be over 250 roundups of Chinese American in California between 1849 to 1906. What is a roundup? Roundup is a gathering of about over 200 people. They are all gone. They all got driven out. They are all disappeared now. So in the beginning of the book, he's talking about November 3rd, 1883. There's a Tacoma driven out. So, November in Tacoma is very cold. It's already winter. So the white mob, about 30, the mayor, the 30 white mob to kick out 900 Chinese. Okay, they give them a couple hours to pack. If they lock the door, they would kick their window, break their door and kick their window, drag them out. And during that time, the Chinese women, they have bounded feet. I don't know if you know bounded feet. They bounded very tiny. They're only able to walk around the house. There's no way they can run away. So they just toss them out. So where are they gonna go? So they actually work on the railroad they built all the way down to Portland. Portland is 140 miles. And by the time they reached to Portland, it's December. There was another driven out in Portland. So they burned the Portland Chinatown to the ground. And same thing happened to Seattle. Okay, stop moving again. So I have it. Oh, okay. Oh, oops, too fast. Okay. This picture, actually all the sketches I show you, they were drawn by the reporters, the journalists. A lot of story, it's not written anywhere, but it was written in the newspaper. You're able to find. But this picture is very easy to find on the internet because that is the worst massacre of Chinese. This is in Rock Spring, Wyoming, and that in 1885. There were wine miners. They think the Chinese get less pay. That means they took their job. That's the only reason. So they want to kill all the Chinese in the Chinatown. They want to just kill them, not let them leave, just to kill them. So whenever they see a Chinese, they rob them, they kill them, they even mutilate them. And some of the women was even on this rampage too, because they standing on the bridge, they shoot the running around Chinese, just like dogs in the carnival, you know. And the Chinese was very they were scared. They have no direction. And then if they try to hide in the cell, they just burn the house. So some of the body was like, you know, half crisp, burned. And the people who were sick, they were not able to leave. They just burned them. And at night, they celebrate by cutting a man's penis and testicle and barbecue as a trophy. This is all written in the internet. Okay, this is a Halloween in the 1880 in Colorado. See, when I do research, I can all the way go to East Coast, Pennsylvania, and always something happened. And these are the sketches on the newspaper. And Chinese men got beaten to death, and you know, dozens got hurt. And I remember last time I had a seminar in Santa Clara Library. There was a Colorado history professor, you know, signing in the Zoom, and he told everybody that he's a history professor. So by the end of seminar, I say, "Have you seen this?" He says, "No." And the end of the seminar, somebody actually said that there's a person living in Santa Cruz. He says, "When I grow up, I never know anything of this. That proof our education system failed, and that is the reason we're inviting the school board and the superintendent here." And I just tell some story briefly. And this is a picture from the Humboldt. And then this actually the poem says that they will shake the Humboldt dust from the sandal, satisfy the county is a fine place, but no place for a Chinaman. This is the whole reason that Jim Frazier wrote the book Driven Out, because he was a graduate student in the Humboldt College. He said, "How come there's no Chinese student?" They say, "Because they've been driven out 100 years ago." Okay. And then he spent one afternoon to do the research. That's how he found out 250 roundup all got burned to the ground. And that's the whole reason he wrote the book. But when he wrote the book, it was documentary. I'm sure she spent over 10 years to write that book because she's got evidence, she's got, you know, a journey, she's got the core evidence, everything was in that book. It's a very thick book. So this is how early that Chinese were here for the gold mining in Tuolumne in 1848. During that time, there was a lot of people came to California for that. Okay, I think these are all very familiar pictures that the railroad builder. You see the lower picture over there? the tent are for the Chinese workers, and the train cars are for the white workers. You know, when they build the railroad, it's a moving project. You gotta move every day. So they move the tent, and they work in the winter. They work in the summer. You know how the Sierra is. In the wintertime, we go there ski. In one avalanche, killed 2,000 Chinese people. They can't even find the body until the next spring. I'm sure there are still some bodies, you know, skating around. And also when they worked there, there was no tool. There was no machinery. So they basically use their hand shovel, and sometimes they have to make their own rope. From the rope, they would make a basket, because to lower people from the mountain to put the bomb, to bomb the tunnel. And they bomb over 15 tunnels, and some of them are 1,700 feet long. So, and of course, they pay 30 to 50% lower than the regular wages. And there were about 20,000 people work there for the Transcontinental Railroad. And they will be in the, you know, frigid winter and blazing summer, and hundreds of die from explosion, landslide, and accident, and disease. And some of them, they got abused from the supervisor. Actually, I put a story into this. I mean, the book I wrote, because I can't be like Jim Fraser, spent 10 years to write a documentary. So what I did was I put the real background, and some of the real people and some of the makeup people. I made a historical fiction. So I made the twins. I made the twins from the Canton village. They have like 8 people from the same village. So the twins, the older brother is big and strong, so try to protect the village people. They always have a team. You know, the railroad people, they have a team from 8 to 12 people, and one cook. Because they eat their own food. So what happened is that because the older twins always fight for the village people, so the supervisor didn't like him, so asked him to plant a bomb, but gave him a very short fuse. And you know what happened. So the younger brother was cooking for the dinner, and the whole mountain was explored and looking for the brother. So you have to read the book to know if they survive. So, and these are more pictures from the from building the railroads. And the railroad entails manual labor, and use a shovel 20 pounds of rock over 400 times a day. And they had to face the dangerous work condition, accidental explosions, snow and rock avalanches, and kill hundreds of workers. Not even mention the frigid weather. So these are the retaining wall they built. Okay, and this is a very famous picture. Probably a lot of you have seen this. Chinese labor, they lay down 10 miles of track in one day, and no one has break this record yet. I mean, there are a lot of hikers. They try to hike the 10 miles. They're able to go out, they can come back, because they have to come back, that's 20 miles. So I have seen some pictures. And so this is a record no one ever break. And this is an iconic picture. Probably a lot of people seen this picture. And this picture was the leaders of the Central Pacific and Union Pacific Railroad lines meet, and they shake hands. And guess what? There's no Chinese worker in the picture. So basically, they are forgotten. You know, their work got ignored. And this is their living condition. If they don't live in the tent, they live in the house. That's how the employer, they come into their family. And Chinese worker, they sleep on the 3-level bunk bed, and 2 persons share one bunk bed, and some of them just sleep on the floor. And the rats are their pets. Okay, these are all these pictures are drawn by the journalist. Okay, this is a white child assault Chinese child in 1878, and all the adults, white adults, just staring at it, not doing anything. And don't you feel this is like a history repeat? Except who got assaulted is the elderly now. There's too many elderly were assaulted even in today's world. So nothing has changed. So this is when America allowed Chinese to immigrate. And that's the picture. That's the picture on the newspaper, how much they welcome Chinese. And they invent toys for the kids. So inscribed, the Chinese must go. This is 1884. Okay, what about women? If you are a woman, you come to United States, you have to be a prostitute. There's no other choice. So they usually got kidnapped or become sex slaves. If you escape, you got no place to go. They bring you back, lock you in the crib, and they usually die very young because there's no medical care for them. So no one lived past 30 years old. So they will die in their 20s. And this is the girl that was sent to San Francisco. Actually, this is a picture of the Los Angeles jail yard. And about a month ago, Los Angeles have a 1 week memorial to remember the Chinatown there. Over 100 people were hanged in Chinatown. And there were also, I think, 11 teenagers were killed. And there was 1 week of parade, and also that the speeches about, I'm sure Los Angeles has a very brutal experience, probably worse than San Jose. And this is the jail that you better don't make any mistake, or you even don't even talk back. When you talk back, you got thrown to the jail. You just get mutilated. Some of the body was new, and then they got hand, and they would, the bullying in their head, just insult any way they could. There's no way they can come out of jail alive. Okay, you think you come to the United States to work, they're going to welcome you because you help to build the country, you help to build a railroad? No. The moment you step out the ship, they throw rock at them. And these are the words by the Council of Chinese in the open argument before the Joint Committee of the two houses, Congress and Chinese immigration. And then he says that I have seen them leaning over the side of the wagon with the scalp open. And I have seen them stone going to foot from the steamship. The moment they get off the ship, they get stoned, and no arrests were made, no police interfere. So this is also the picture that drawn by the reporter. Okay, this is the famous Chinese Exclusion Act. If you see the fourth line, ban Chinese women from immigrating to United States. So if you don't have women, that means you don't have children. And that's why the Chinatown is a bachelor town. And because they have a queue in the back, some of them even think they are all gays. Okay, and there was no interracial marriage. So this is ethnic cleaning. Okay, once these bachelors die, there will be no more Chinese. So that's the real meaning of the Chinese Exclusion Act. Okay, right after the act, there was a lot of ads putting out that this one is in Berryessa area in San Jose. They say the fruit is all packed by the white men and women who are required to exercise care and neatness and cleanness, characterize all their works. This also happened in the Canary Row and Monterey area. They only hire white workers. Okay. On the left side, this is Reverend Thomas Jung. And he is a courageous pastor of San Jose Church. And he offered Chinese people Sunday service and also Sunday school. And guess what happened? That's his church. And his church was burned, of course. Okay. I got this picture from the cultural park because in 1892, there was already there was already 5 houses, and also they were trained the fire department in San Jose. There's also water tank. So this is what the Market Street Chinatown used to look like. It's all made by wood. And this is the day that San Jose Chinatown was on fire. And there's a lot of spectators were laughing at the Chinese were busy or moving their belongings. So what happened was that in May 4th, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, when most of the Chinese from Chinatown, they were in the gambling house waiting for the lottery to open. So that is the time the fire was deliberately set 4 to 5 different corners. And at the same time, they drain all the water from the water tank. So even the firefighter came out, they couldn't rescue anything. And also on the newspaper, it says that funny thing is all the white business people, they increased their fire insurance 2 weeks before this day. Heavily increased their fire insurance. This is all from the newspaper. And this is John Helen. If I have mentioned Helenville, he is a Germany immigrant. He helped Chinese people to offer their job, and also he would give them a very cheap rent to live. But of course, the mayor didn't like him. So 8 days after the fire, he donated a corner of the lot. The location of the lot is currently in Japantown. It's the current Japantown. He helped to rebuild the Chinatown. But this time, when he built the Chinatown, it was built by use brick, okay? And 24 hours guard around the Chinatown to make sure there's no fire. And a person over there, Charles, is the mayor in San Jose at the time. So right after the fire, he became a president of the Garden City National Bank. So they really want that piece of land. You know, if you're into a realty business, you know, location is the most important. And Fairmont Hotel is a golden location. So with all that information, I want to write a book. And I wrote 3 books in Chinese. So of course, this book is going to be Chinese too. So I start writing it. And then my daughter said, "Are you writing another book that I couldn't understand?" I say, "Well, this book is for the Chinese immigrant." He said, "Okay, if you sell this book in Taiwan, who's going to know where San Jose is? I think you should write in English. So the kids over here, generation after generation, they know about this fire." So I thought about that. I said, they will write anything in English, you know, so I don't know if I could do that. So I say, oh, maybe I can do bilingual. So I start writing in 2 languages in 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, it drove me crazy because the structure of the language are different. You know, I express in this way, I couldn't express in the other way. I said, forget it. I have to choose one language. So it's during pandemic. I don't have any better things to do, right? Why don't I try to write an English a novel. So, and I explained the reason I write a historical fiction instead of documentary, because documentary, this probably takes 10 years. You know, I probably wouldn't spend 10 years collect all the evidence because somebody else already did the homework. So I decided to use the true background and write a fiction. And then this is the untold story. So I want as many people know as possible. So I try to make it very simple. I want the age group from the 5th grade to age of 80. Everyone can read the book. And I use exactly the time, 1887, and also the present time. So, and I have 2 girls. The name of the book is called Fire Scar. So it's a current time. There's a girl that she has a birthmark, like a torch on the neck. And then she went to Wusengong. Upstairs, at that time, I don't know what inside Wusengong looked like. So everything was made up. So she saw this picture of another girl, got exactly same shape of a mark on the neck. So she asked those and said, take a look at this girl. Is that the same shape, the torch mark on the neck? The docent said, yeah, are you related? She said, I don't know. And it turned out the girl from the present time that her torch is a birthmark, but the girl in the picture from 1887 is from the real fire. And of course, in my book, he's going to tell you how she got a fire. And then later on, the girl from the present time doing research, they are actually related. Okay. And I create about 20 characters. So I will mention Tacoma and other places and railroad workers and fruit pickers and miners and gold diggers, and they are all in one of their characters. And then when I finish the book, I have to find an editor. I have to find a proofreader, beta readers. Oh, I have 2 beta readers sitting right here. I have formatters, format book in certain size, and they can put in Amazon, to publish in Amazon. So this is all first-time experience, during the pandemic for me. And the problem with the book is you gotta have a name. So what is the name? In the beginning, I say, okay, it's a burning of Chinatown. So my friends say, okay, in 1 sentence, you already told all the stories. You don't need to read the book. That's a bad name. So I even have hired somebody to write a Chinese character. Okay. Then I changed it to another name called Raising of the Ashes. I thought that's pretty good. But at night, I got so scared. I feel that the people who died in the Chinatown, all the spirit, they came to me, They say, Lily, help me. So I got really, really scared. So I asked the church elder to pray for me. I said, I'm so scared at night writing this book. He goes, from now on, after dark, you're going to stop writing this book. Okay, you're just going to relax. Okay. And then I don't want you to end up like Irish Chan. I don't know if you know her. She wrote The Rape of Nanjing, and then she just killed herself. Actually, her cemetery is right here in San Jose. So I try to relax at night, and then I got a different name. I feel the fire scar is the scar in our heart and also the scar in the city of San Jose, of course, in these 2 girls. So here's my synopsis. A successful young woman, a motherless 10-year-old child, a shared trauma separated by over a century. Jessica and Jasmine are united by nearly identical scars. As Jessica searched for clues about the past, including untold truths about her own family history, she uncovered unspeakable acts of violence that shaped the lives of the early Chinese American immigrants. Culminating in a brutal act of arson and threatened to destroy their dreams of inclusion. With passion, heart, unflinching Honda Lily explored the actual circumstances of the 1887 fire. So, and with the book, I have to find a cover design. I have 4 cover designers. They all fail of what I want. This is 1 week before I published book. I found a Santa Cruz student, art student. She was able to, show this exactly what I want. I say, when you look at fire, how do you know this Chinatown? Oh, so there were dragons, there were lanterns. So excellent job. So I have to have invitation for blocks, and the newer version is coming out. So we have the mayor to write a blob in the back of the book. So this is the Wusen Gong. I don't know if anybody been there, but I took that picture. At the time I took the picture, the Wusen Gong wasn't open yet, but the cultural park was open. I was able to look at outside, and this is the original Wusen Gong. So when Helenville was constructed after the fire of 1987, so these people at the time, there was no, Christian, other religious. So they go to the temple of the fire god to pray. And with all the burning, they were able to collect $2,000 to build this original temple of fire gods. And then the 5 gods inside, and they believe it was rescued from the 1887 fire. And now in the new Wusen Gong is a replicate in 1987, and 850,000 was raised to build that beautiful temple. So, and I also went to visit the Chinese cemetery in San Jose. And we have the president of the Chinese History Cemetery here, Dennis Wu, and he's been guarding this place. Okay, you see, there's almost no tombstone because everything was in pieces, broken. The gate, the iron gate got stolen. Who wants to steal the iron gate? So the iron gate was stolen. Also, the number was the plate was broken, and also this brick would kick down. What you see over here is actually already fixed, and you see the lawn in the back. There are about over 300 bodies underneath. So this is what it looks like. It took me twice to find this place. So if you want to go to this place, it's better to to ask me or Dennis where exactly it is. So finally, Wusen Gong has a soft opening. I went in there. I saw all of the pictures. I saw the picture that I was collecting. It would be so easy if I came here to this museum earlier, so I didn't have to do that research. And here are the artifacts from the project, from the Stanford project. There was a Chinatown here. So people told me that there's only a small amount here. Actually, there were a lot more in Stanford. And also at the time, they would send out to dig the artifact. They were really rushing them. They wanted to build the Fairmont Hotel. So there are probably still a lot underneath. So this is upstairs where they put the 5 gods. Okay, these are the 5 gods. So they are Guan Gong is the god of the war and justice. Guan Yin, the goddess of mercy. The Temple City god, that's the Chen Huang. And Cai Shen, the god of wealth. And the Tian Ho, the queen of heaven. So they are right here in San Jose. Okay, so my book was published. I got really nervous. I don't know if I published a good book. So this very famous Chinese poet and writer. She's a lot of award-winning. She's an award-winning writer, and she wrote a lot of both Chinese and English books. So she gave me a 4-star, which really eased my mind. And her comment was a big applause to author Lily, who brought the Untold Story of burning of San Jose's Chinatown to life with most skillful storytelling. The smoke that followed the main character talk a long way from the Tacoma fire to San Jose seemed to have followed every Chinese immigrant and the Asian since the the smoke of the racial hatred, smoke of the violence. They successfully in keeping the readers spellbound with the storytelling skills, the plot gearing toward the climax, and each character's inner development in time of suppression and the hatred. A true page turner indeed. When she wrote this, my mind was set. So, okay, 不容轻视进程会. So I think nowadays more people watch movie, they're reading a book. So I really want this become a movie so it can reach out to more people. So we have a lot of movie talking about American Indians. We have a lot of movie talking about Jews and Nazi. I watch over 10 of them. They telling the story from different angles. Black slave, there's so many award-winning black slave movies. How come there was no Chinese American Chinatown burning stories? Okay, so where is this book going? I really want to stop the Asian crime, Asian hate, stop calling us the China flu and Chinese virus. I really want to stop the discrimination. And because I really want the environment to be comfortable for our next generation to live. And so that's why I'm calling for to put this the history, Chinese American history in the textbook. That actually was coming out from one of the audience, and she said, you know, how come I never know about this? Okay, so my book was published on May 22nd in the paperback and Kindle, but things doesn't stop here. And I add the extension of the new version. It's called Book in Motion. So I've been on TV and radio and interview and cinema and telling people about the story both in English and Chinese. And I'm taking people to the hotel to see the plaque and organize a tour to visit the inside of Wusen Gong and having those and telling the story of the immigrants. And on September 29th, apology ceremony happened. So the mayor of San Jose apologized to the fire, and there were over 200 people were there listening to the resolution. And then I have my first book signing event. So Mayor Cupertino Darcy was there, and he brought a president of Cupertino Union School District, Jerry Liu, there. And he introduced me to the school board, superintendent. So that's why they are all here. And Otto Lee was sending a certificate. I was totally surprised on that day, a stormy weather, a stormy day. And so books still in motion. What is next? What is next? So we really want to include the Chinese American history into the school curriculum. And I also want to build a memorial in the historical Chinese American cemetery, so people know about this location, this place, and there's people still buried underneath. So on the day I have my first book signing event, there's actually the architect. He volunteered. He said, I will design this for free. Okay. On the very next day, he came to me and Dennis' office. So we were meeting together. We tried to collect all the information. Actually, Dennis has some display over there. So if you have time, you can look at the display. And we went to the cemetery to see how things could be done. So in 1 week, this is the architect. He made some drawing for the front door and also the cemetery. So if you wonder where is this location, it's next to the Oak Hill Cemetery in San Jose. If you go to the chapel, it's on the right side to the chapel. Don't go around the mountain like what I did the first time. So, okay, who should be reading this book? Of course, yourself. and your children, your grandchildren, and also maybe your children's teacher, having the teacher read to the student, maybe sending a Christmas present, suggestion to read, or maybe you have engaged your Christmas present for your best friend, get a copy for your best friend. The better yet, send it to the out of the state. Send to the out of state so the other state people know what happened to San Jose. Okay. We have right now we have a question and answer. I know there's a lot of people, in the Zoom, and today not just me can answer the question. We have mayor, we superintendent here, with school board members. We have president of historical Chinese American cemetery. If you have any question, you can ask now. So I think I leave enough time for everybody. So does anybody here have any question? In the Zoom? So about Tom, what do you think?
I'm very excited about it. I have a question for you. Many of this is obviously just tragic history. It's very sad, the history of discrimination. Yet, in the theme of your book, you said that there's also courageous resilience. What do you hope people who read this book in terms of courageous resilience get out of reading this?
Okay, because it's an untold story. First of all, I want people to know and understand. I'm not sure where all this Asian hate was coming from. Apparently, it was there over 100 years ago, and it's still there. And the famous word is go back to your country. This is a country of collection of immigrants. I go back to my country, what about you? People don't think that way. And people probably don't know, just like the picture I show you, the iconic picture, that so many people died in the railroad project. And it turned out when there's a celebration, they were ignored. So maybe in this book, or eventually maybe become a movie, so more people will be aware of this. Maybe they'll appreciate what the Chinese American had contributed to this country. If an adult, in my last library talk, he said when he grew up, he didn't know anything about this. So maybe from now on, our children can start to know about this, And I know to stop discrimination is going to be a very difficult task. But I think to understand, to know, it's better than not knowing. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. We got an old-fashioned way. I believe is the Wusengong at the San Jose History Park. Yes. What is the address of the Chinese cemetery in San Jose? Do we have an address?
Yeah, it's right next to Oak Hill Cemetery on the Kertner and Pondbury South First Street, we call Pondbury Road. In fact, it's the same address as the Oak Hill Cemetery. It's 300 Kertner. So today,
300 Kerner, right? 300 Kerner.
Yeah.
300 Kerner.
Same address as same address. We got a separate parcel number after 1995. So we call it 308 Kertner Avenue. So it's the same as Oak Hill Cemetery. So you have to go through the main gate and then go in and turn right, just next to the chapel. Then you see the sign there. I did show on her screen, historical Chinese cemetery right there. Now it's already, the old fence, like Lee said, the iron fence was stolen in 95. People just took it, I think for drug money or whatever, I had to replace that. And then the wooden fence was gone. And Summer Hill builder donated almost $100,000 to build an iron fence around the plot. And the plot was a 140 by 160. Is donated by San Francisco 8 companies to the Chinese people in Xinjiang. The plot was kind of in the old days, if you guys understand, Chinese cannot bury in any other cemetery except either privately or whatever somewhere. So this place was there 120 years ago, and the deed, you can see the deed here was written, was signed by Oak Hill and the 8 companies in May 12, 1900. But the cemetery plot was there before that. Around 300 pioneers buried there. But I think most of them are still under the ground, because at that time it's very hard to get the ashes, whatever, shipped back to China. Most of the people, like Lily said, mostly are bachelor, things like that. You have names and date of birth and daily time, you have records of all that. So when you have a chance, go and visit them. And in the future, Lily show, we're going to put something up the front so people can see. If you drive right along Kerner, you will see it. So if you have time, with that, and if you have any questions, you can call.
Yeah, so to answer this question is the Kerner Avenue, right? It's the Kerner Avenue in San Jose. It's
Right
the
at the corner of Kerner and Monterey Road.
okay, it's Monterey Road and Kerner, and it's in Oak Hill Cemetery.
Yeah.
But when you go to the cemetery, remember to look for the chapel. It's next to the chapel. Okay.
To the right of
Don't
the
go to
parking
the
lot.
Chinese cemetery. You got to go to historical cemetery.
The front door is right on Kerner, anyway, right next to the main.
Yeah, the front door is on the corner. And then second question is, what is the motivation for you to write this book? And what would you like to achieve in the end? I think I answered the question to Tom. The motivation, I would say it's a calling, you know. When I saw the plaque, probably some people saw the plaque too. But for me, you know, it was really, it was moving inside for me to do something. And what I would like to achieve is I would really want to stop the Asian crimes and Asian hate. I want to let people know how much Chinese American immigrant, how much they contribute.
Yeah, I have a question. So you've kind of focused on K through 12 education. What about community college level, for example? Is there any, do you have any plans to outreach to that level?
I'm not sure how is the design, you know, curriculum design team. And at first, when I reached to Jerry Liu, and he was more in the elementary school, and later on, he told me I should reach out to Tom and in the high school level. You know, in my mind was actually thinking of middle school. Maybe the story was a little too harsh for the middle school. And for the college level, from what I heard from Pam, that they were like elective. You can read some, you know, on your read some book on your free time instead of from the curriculum. What I wanted to do is the building to the curriculum.
Yeah.
You know, have the people to read. For the college level, I'm not so sure. Tom, maybe you can answer this question because I'm not a curriculum designer.
I can answer the question from a high school level, in the sense that looking at discrimination and racism is something that's incorporated in our social studies classes already. And there are elements about like the Chinese Exclusion Act that are touched on. But what I appreciate about what I heard here is you've localized it. I don't know to what extent people are familiar with what happened here, right here in San Jose, or the march from Tacoma down to Portland and Seattle. And I think that really will provide a lot of perspective that this really hits close to home. And as you said, Lily,
Yeah.
We want to stop Asian hate, and this has been happening, 130 years ago. But I wouldn't feel comfortable asking it or answering at the junior college level. It's not my area.
Yes.
I have actually one other question. So I'm wondering if you've done anything with the Sunnyvale Museum in terms of like a visit there.
Okay, we got a mayor here.
So actually, one of our commissioners from the Heritage Commission is working both from the Heritage Commission standpoint and the Historical Society for Sunnyvale, basically doing research specifically on the Chinese influence in Sunnyvale as well as kind of the surrounding area. So not specifically on the burning in San Jose, but kind of their contributions to our area, to Sunnyvale and the orchards and all of that. So definitely there are people, docents at the Historical Society and Museum that are looking at that and doing that research.
Yeah, when I do my research, just like I said, I was looking for, all the evidence from West Coast to East Coast. And then I stopped. I say, I'm a local writer. I don't need to collect so many different stories. I only need to tell the local story. So that's when I decide to write The Burning of Chinatown. Yes.
And really, thank you so much for sharing. I
Thank
think
you.
your work is really exemplary for other students, especially Asian American students.
Uh-huh.
And I'm wondering, do you have any plan for your future book? I think it'd be great to introduce more about the contribution of Chinese Americans, how they overcome that kind of, the suffering.
Okay. Currently, I got a lot of complaints. Why isn't this book in Chinese? So my current project is translating. And translating is a lot of work. Making a book is just like, raising a child. It's not just writing itself. You've got to make sure, especially with the historical book, you want to make sure everything is correct. And also, with all the proofreading, spelling, and, things has to make sense. So right now, I probably finished 1/3 of the translation of the book. Like I said, I really, really want this book to become a movie. So that's another project I'm working on. And hopefully, people can see, people who do not like to read, you can just watch the movie. And then step by step, like I said, this is a book in motion. There's a lot of things happening. And also we are trying to fundraising to build a memorial. There's a lot of work ahead of us. I just hope I live long enough to get everything done. And also this next question is, where's the exact location of the plaque at the Fairmont Hotel? If you're facing the Fairmont Hotel, it's on the right side. It's on the right side corner. So I don't know how I never saw that. And I don't know why on that day I was standing in that corner. I was turning around. I saw it. And I took a lot of people to see it. Actually, I took a lot of reporters to see it, take a picture over there. And I thought it was a pretty obvious location. And it has been there 34 years. So did everybody saw it? So did everybody see? Okay. Okay. Do we have any more questions? Okay, we have one more. Do we have any question? Okay.
Thank you very much. I went to a high school in Seattle, Washington. And I remember studying going down with the Chinatown in Seattle and Tacoma, and also the discrimination suffered by the local Chinese at the time. I moved to Silicon Valley or San Jose for over 30 years.
Okay.
And this is new to me. I thought this never happened. So I really appreciate that you share this fact that something that happened for the last 30 years. Thank you.
Okay. I mean, people can make comments. You don't have to ask a question. If anybody want to make a comment, and you're welcome to help us to build the next project. Put in the textbook or help Dennis to rebuild the memorial. So next question is, what is the best way to buy the book? Is it only available through Amazon? Currently, it's only available at Amazon, and I have some books. If you want me to sign a book, I mean, we could arrange, and then I can get a signed book for you. So, okay, Susan.
Yeah, I'll just make one last comment rather than a question. I think to me, what's really interesting is having grown up in elementary school, knowing about the Chinese having worked on the railroads. I mean, I think we all knew that, but we certainly did not know what was going on in terms of how people were being treated. And
Yeah,
that's the other part of the story that definitely needs to get out there.
sure,
to be
sure,
complete.
sure. Okay.
Do you know who with the Fairmont Hotel may have been involved in getting the plaque there to begin with?
Okay.
If the plaque was never placed there, this whole, everything about tonight, your book, the seed of your desire to publish the book would never happen. So somebody that was in charge of the building and the construction recognized at the very beginning that this needs to not be forgotten. So who put the plaque there?
I believe the CHCP did. I'm not 100%. Maybe Dennis, do you know?
I think it's a Connie Young, you got a book, Chinatown, I think you got better, you can get in the library or whatever, you got better idea of that. The plaque was put on later, you are right, it's not.
Or it wasn't constructed around, the plaque wasn't inset into the building when it was built originally.
No, I think it was put on later.
I heard that the plaque was going to put inside of the hotel.
Yeah, it was.
And then they changed.
Inside where you can see it, but I think they were opposed to they put it right outside, where the circular driveway is. That's why you saw it.
Yeah.
That's a better place because it's more
Yeah.
prominent.
Yeah, but even outside, still a lot of people didn't see it. So, yeah, definitely. Anybody? Pen? So the proofreader?
Yes, my experience reading with his book was absolutely delightful. I mean, I kept imagining all these people were real. I mean, they just came to life as I was reading them. And the connection between the contemporary character and the historical character really brought tears to my eyes. I mean, it just indicated how there was a flow of generations, even though 100 years went by. It was just fantastic.
Sorry, one more question. The 10-mile track that was laid in less than 24 hours, where was that? Where did that occur?
That I believe that's in California. Exact location, I don't know. I have seen that picture many times. So I don't think it's very hard to find, So definitely the railroad is still there. Yes.
I didn't realize until I was in San Diego when it was part of a historical tour around the Del Coronado Hotel, how much of the Chinese population were involved in the railroad, because the railroad had not extended down to San Diego for a very long time. And it was then that I learned, about 8 to 10 years ago, that the Chinese were involved in a good part of building the railroad. I had never known that before that.
Yeah, I have heard about this. I never know about this. I never knew about that. I haven't seen this, So I think it's awareness. That's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons I wrote this book. And actually, Jerry Liu was telling me that it's nice you read you wrote a fiction. That's much easier to read, because in documentary, sometimes you really fall into a sleep, So, but writing a documentary is really, really hard work, because you need to collect all of the evidence. I could see that it takes a really long time. So I hope this could reach out to people and more people aware of this. Of course, I hope we can all build a better community and environment for everyone to live this country peacefully, and also something I can see for the next generation.
So I have a question. I
Okay.
think, when you try to portray all these people with killed, instead of maybe for the education part, you have to really focus on what's the real contribution of these people who has been here to work for USA? We needed to have more information about what they did for the country, so the younger generation would know that the contribution part, because you want to bring more positive effect on your story for the future. Because if you just try to see the burden part, the kids, sometimes it's very hard to digest those things. So
Yeah.
you have to dig more into what the Chinese do at that time for the country.
Yeah, I mean, for building the railroad, actually building Santa Clara County, and there were a lot of fruit picker. They are all contributions. Yeah. But you know, back then they are harsh lives, you know. And I'm sure you watched the Jews and Nazi movies, and you know, there are horrible things happen. But people, it's the awareness, you know. People realize now that it was a bad thing to do, you know. So, I mean, all we can hope is we have better and better society we can live.
Maybe how that related right now, there's an anti-Asian.
I know, it was just a coincidence when my book was published, it was the, you know, Asian hate was everywhere. I mean, just like my book signing event, there's always the storming night, the storming weather. I mean, just somebody's telling me something, I think. So, yeah. I mean, we do put a lot of hope into the school curriculum team. I hope that kids will know and understand. I'm sure you're going to design a really, you know, a good way to tell them the story, you know, but, you know, I'm not expert on this, but I'm just hoping that, oh, we got a history teacher here. So would you like to say something?
Yes. Yeah, I think your point is well made that the positive contributions should come along with the tragedy. And I think Tom spoke to that too, kind of just not presenting it as victimhood, but more than that, without also ignoring. I will say though that you know, a lot of people will say, you know, we don't know this, and that's I think very, very true. But it takes a champion, and it takes someone to step up to put it out there for people to grab onto. And so I want to salute you for having that moment when you said, there's something here, there's something that I want to do, and put that out. I think that's quite a remarkable thing that more people can do, because it takes a champion in order to tell stories, in order to bring things forward. Someone has to champion that and own that. And I think you're making a great effort to starting that process. And I think might bring some good things.
Okay,
So
thank you.
for that.
Do I have any comments? So I'm going to leave a few minutes to sign your book for you, and also talk to Dennis about this memorial project. So Mayor, would you like to say something?
Yeah, so Lily, I just want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And telling the story of this, behind the story at the end of the day. For people that are on the Zoom, definitely, can they go to golily.com to contact you directly?
Yeah, sure.
And then, you know, so buying your book on Amazon, of course, is the easiest way. But if they're local and they want to contact you, that's the best site, correct? Yes.
That's right. I have a website, it's called lily.com, and I'm going to put my personal email and phone number in there today. So it will be easy to contact me. If you want me to sign a book for you, I can always meet you in the library. So it's very easy, you know. I mean, it's a beautiful city. If you're not a Sunnyvale resident, you definitely come over here. Thank you so much for the people in the Zoom. And thank you very much for coming the stormy night. And please stay and talk to Mayor, talk to the superintendent, talk to Dennis, because he is the only person still alive and working on this project. People from the community, they all passed away. So this project has to carry on. So thank you so much.